The Russia-Ukraine war has now entered a phase different from what many imagined at the start of this conflict. It is no longer about lightning attacks, the capture of major cities within days, or dramatic overnight changes on the map. Today's battlefield is defined by endurance, consistency, and the ability to impose the rhythm of the war. It is in this context that Russia is slowly but surely demonstrating an approach that is mature, measured, and very characteristic of its military tradition. Along the front line, especially in southern regions like Zaporizhia, Russia is not attempting high-risk, large-scale breakthroughs. Instead, pressure is built incrementally. Artillery works relentlessly, drones monitor every movement, and infantry only advances when conditions are sufficiently favorable. This approach may seem slow to the untrained eye, but it is precisely the essence of a war of attrition, forcing the opponent to constantly react, continually drain resources, and remain perpetually on the defensive. A tangible example of this approach is the capture of the village of Zelenoye. Symbolically, Zelenoye is not a major target. However, militarily, this village was part of the Ukrainian defensive system around the approaches to Zelenopillia. By securing it, Russia not only gained territory, but also broke one layer of the enemy's defense. This creates new room for maneuver, strengthens Russia's position in that sector, and simultaneously forces Ukraine to reorganize its defenses. What is noteworthy is that such advances rarely occur through a single frontal assault. Russia prefers a combination of long-term pressure and limited tactical operations. Ukrainian positions are pounded by artillery for days, even weeks. Drones ensure any attempt at troop rotation or logistical resupply is detected. Only when a position becomes too inefficient to hold do Russian ground forces move in. The result is often not a major battle, but a controlled Ukrainian withdrawal. This is the form of a quiet yet effective victory. A frequent question is, are Ukrainian troops truly withdrawing from these areas? The answer is yes, but with nuance. Ukraine is not collapsing or abandoning the entire front line. Yet, at many points, they are forced into tactical retreats. They withdraw not out of panic, but because holding a specific position has become too costly in terms of personnel and logistics. In many cases, this choice arises precisely due to Russia's stable and consistent pressure, not a single decisive attack. From a military perspective, this demonstrates Russia's success in creating a dilemma for its opponent. Ukraine is forced to choose between defending a single village at the risk of losing combat units or pulling back and ceding territory. In a long war, such dilemmas are extremely dangerous, because every withdrawal decision, however small, still erodes strategic position. Russia appears to understand this well and exploits it systematically. This pressure does not only come from the ground. Russia is actively deploying additional systems to the battlefield, primarily in the form of drones and long-range strike capabilities. Drones are no longer mere support tools, but a core element of operations. They are used for reconnaissance, artillery fire correction, and even direct attacks on enemy positions and vehicles. Large-scale drone attacks often aim not to destroy high-value targets, but to exhaust Ukrainian air defenses and force them to expend expensive resources. Simultaneously, Russia maintains the ability to strike deep behind the front lines. Ukrainian energy infrastructure, logistical facilities, and transport hubs remain within range. Such attacks have a dual impact: physically degrading Ukraine's war-supporting capabilities and psychologically reminding that this conflict is not confined to trenches and the front line. The message is clear: pressure will be felt everywhere. Ukraine's reaction to this situation demonstrates resilience but also limitations. On one hand, Ukrainian forces continue to hold key sectors and launch limited counterstrikes. On the other, their dependence on Western support is increasingly evident. Ammunition, air defense systems, and financial aid are decisive factors in Ukraine's ability to maintain the tempo of the war. However, the flow of this aid is not always stable or as fast as needs in the field. creating gaps that Russia can exploit. In this context, Russia benefits from its own industrial and logistical base. The production of ammunition, equipment repair, and troop rotations can be planned for the long term. This gives Russia crucial flexibility in a long-term war. Without needing to rely entirely on external parties, Russia can adjust its strategy according to battlefield developments, an advantage that often goes unnoticed. The international community is responding to this escalation with a familiar pattern. Western nations continue to condemn Russia and strengthen their support for Ukraine. Political statements, aid packages, and economic sanctions continue to roll out. Yet behind all this, the reality on the ground continues to move according to the laws of war, not diplomatic rhetoric. Meanwhile, many non-aligned nations are taking a more cautious stance, calling for de-escalation and dialogue while observing who can ultimately sustain pressure the longest. Viewed as a whole, the current situation shows that Russia is not pursuing a quick victory. There are no signs of haste or reckless moves. Instead, the strategy being implemented shows confidence in facing a long-term war. By combining gradual ground pressure, artillery dominance, drone utilization, and long-range strikes, Russia is attempting to shape the battlefield according to its own rhythm. In conclusion, the Russia-Ukraine war today is a war about national endurance. Every captured village, every abandoned position, and every day that pressure continues shapes a new reality on the front line. Russia appears ready to play this long-term game with patience and a systematic approach as its primary weapon. In a war of attrition, victory does not go to the fastest, but to whoever can endure the longest and keep applying pressure.